We've only seen 1 second of Black Ops 6 Zombies gameplay. We've already seen the first look at 2 playable characters, and we got official images of Brutus and Klaus returning from Black Ops 2 Zombies and Cold War Zombies. So in this video, we're going to go over the full list of known characters that we can expect to see in Black Ops 6 Zombies. We're going over a lot in this video, so make sure you watch all the way to the end to not miss a thing. Now, we need to start by talking about Brutus and Klaus, as they are the 2 Zombies characters that we know are 100% in Black Ops 6, as they are part of the Vault Edition. But there is no way that Treyarch has redesigned both of these characters if they're just going to be operator skins. I just do not believe it. And in the case of Brutus especially, this is a full redesign from the original design from Black Ops 2. There's even some brand new details on Brutus that was not in the Black Ops 2 version, such as the numbers 81A on his helmet. This version of Brutus also has a completely different prison warden badge that he wears, and there is a great chance that he will actually be featured in one of the Black Ops 6 Zombies maps as a warden for a prison, but this time it won't be Alcatraz prison, but instead will be the prison on Terminus Island, one of the rumored Black Ops 6 Zombies maps. Treyarch has been slowly feeding us information about Terminus Island and this prison since the end of Black Ops Cold War, with the location of this prison pointed to on a map by Dr. Peck, the existence of this island in the 90s via a cutscene during Modern Warfare Zombies Act 2, and at the very end of Cold War Zombies, where all of the Requiem members were sent to solitary confinement within a prison called Black Site 13. But you should be very excited about Brutus potentially being in Black Ops 6 Zombies, because he has one of the most important backstories in all of the zombie storyline. Brutus, under the influence of the Apophicons, created Alcatraz, being a temple of concreted and corrupted flesh tilting on the axis of hell itself. He was also the one responsible for the execution of the mobsters in Mob of the Dead, transforming Alcatraz Island into a pocket dimension which was used to trap Primus Richthofen. But when Cold War was first revealed, Craig Houston did say don't be surprised if some things don't want to stay dead, and all of the stuff we saw throughout World at War to Black Ops 4 Zombies resides now in the Dark Ether. And whilst we don't know the exact explanation how Brutus is back, it's extremely exciting, as it does set a little bit of a precedent that more things in the future could return, as we're seeing here with Brutus. But I am very convinced that Brutus is back as a warden for a prison in the Terminus Island map. Will he have the same ties and connections to the Shadow Man and the Apophicons like we saw in Black Ops 4? I mean, I don't think anything's off limits at this point. But we also need to talk about Klaus, the robot that is next to him on the right. Now, again, this is currently just a pre-order operator skin for use in multiplayer Warzone, and I assume Zombies as well. But you have to question, just like Brutus, why would they create these zombie skins and them not be inside of Zombies? Because Klaus has also got a new design from his Cold War counterpart. Immediately, you can notice quite a lot of visual differences between the version in Cold War to the one we're seeing now. In Cold War, he was a fully complete built robot with none of his insides exposed, but in this Black Ops 6 version, his entire lower torso is completely exposed, revealing some sort of dark ether purple colored energy core that's hidden under what looks like a rib cage. He also seems to have some sort of exoskeleton that's attached to his arms and his back. That isn't just there for cool design, because there's actually a narrative explanation for why he looks like this. And you may or may not know, but in Black Ops Cold War, Klaus was a buildable utility and character in Mauer der Toten, basically a new version of the Civil Protector, but he was created by Elizabeth Gray as a long-range and hand-to-hand combat robot. He has some sort of consciousness, but he lacks any understanding of human fragility. Now, Klaus was an essential character to the end of the Mauer der Toten Easter egg quest, because at the very end, by defeating the main boss, the essence from that boss charges up these inversion warheads which are going to explode. And as an act of sacrifice, Klaus slowly walks into a dark ether portal carrying the inversion warheads so that they can safely detonate from within the dark ether. Klaus bids us farewell before entering the portal and detonating those warheads inside the dark ether, and that's all we ever heard of him. We didn't know if Klaus survived that moment at all, but this confirms that not only did Klaus survive, but he managed to make his way out of the dark ether again. And the physical differences you can see on his body are the result of taking the blast from the inversion warheads, which is absolutely awesome. How he managed to make his way out of the dark ether, we have no idea. But what we do know is Eddie Richthofen, known as the director, secretly reprogrammed Klaus before the events of Mauer der Toten, which might explain how Klaus was able to get out of the dark ether and probably acquired a ton of knowledge to help Richthofen's grand scheme. Now, we got to talk about the 2 characters in this 1 second gameplay clip. We're going to slow it down. We're going to play it in a constant loop to see if we can see any details to help determine who these characters are. We've got to talk about the female character on the right, because the hair, the clothing, it all looks very suspiciously similar to Scarlet Rhodes, who was the main character in the Chaos storyline in Black Ops 4 Zombies. Now, if this really is her, it would be a huge surprise because she was part of a completely separate storyline that had no correlation to the Aoife storyline as we know it. Well, I can't sit here and deny that it doesn't have a resemblance to Scarlet, because it just downright does. However, I am 99% sure that this is not Scarlet Rhodes. And let me explain the reasons for and the reasons against, starting with the reasons why this could actually be Scarlet. Since the introduction of the Dark Aoife story in 2020, there has literally been only one piece of evidence given to us that somehow the Chaos storyline might actually be canon in this universe. And that's all from a radio within Shi No Numa in Call of Duty Vanguard, where Dr. Gabriel Kraft references that he studied the writings of Alistair Rhodes, who was the father of Scarlet Rhodes in the Black Ops 4 Chaos storyline. Now, at the time, this caught all of us extremely off guard, as until that moment, these storylines were not connected in any way. And this single radio here in Vanguard opened Pandora's box to possibility of Treyarch rebooting or reintroducing these characters in the Dark Aoife story. Now, there is a chance in this Dark Aoife universe that there is a different version of Alistair Rhodes, rather than it being the exact same version of him from the Chaos story. And if what we're seeing here is Scarlet Rhodes, then this could be a Dark Aoife universe version of Scarlet Rhodes, rather than the one directly from the Chaos story. That Vanguard radio is the only evidence that could support the possibility of Scarlet actually being here. But again, I am 99% sure it is not Scarlet. And who exactly it could be, I don't know yet. But some very keen-eyed Zombies fans on the internet may have been able to work out the actress that is playing this character. And the reason that they've been able to do that is all because of the character that could be on the left. Now, again, it is very hard to pick out any specific details, and this could very well be a brand new character entirely. But if I compare this character on the left to this image here, which is of a Breacher skin for Weaver from Black Ops Cold War, there is definitely a bit of similarity here. The hairstyle seems quite similar, although in the 1-second clip, it's very hard to even see detail of the hair. And if that isn't hair we're seeing behind the character, it's likely to be a hood that's attached to the character's clothing. Now, if we look at every cutscene in Modern Warfare Zombies that contains Weaver, we can see that Weaver is always wearing a hooded jacket, which could be very similar to what this character is wearing in this shot. Again, it is incredibly hard to see any of these specific details in the gameplay shot. But this is exactly why we have theories in the first place. If the clip we're seeing here is from the Terminus Island Zombies map, which is the map that pecked at the end of Cold War Zombies, and we got hinted that there was a secret CIA island called Terminus Island that Jack Fletcher worked at during the 90s, you could imagine if there's some sort of prison breakout with the Requiem characters, that would naturally include Weaver being there and being part of Black Ops 6 Zombies. Furthermore, we have real life confirmation that it's likely that Weaver is going to be in Black Ops 6, as the voice and motion capture actor for Weaver called Jen Farber posted this back in April. Another day at the office, signed an NDA, so can't say, but something awesome is on the way. Now, you can put 2 and 2 together, and it's pretty much almost a definite that this is a post of him recording as Weaver for Black Ops 6. Of course, there's every chance that this is for an entirely different project, but it just lines up too well for it to not be for Call of Duty. And especially when the motion capture and actor for Lawrence Sims was also recently in motion capture and shared on social media. Seems around that time now where the motion capture is being recorded for Black Ops 6. Now, this is extremely far-fetched, but some people have worked out who they think to believe is the actress playing the female character in the 1-second clip. And the logic behind how they figured this out is if we look at that Instagram post from Jen Farber, one of the comments is from an actress called Chantel Barry. If we go over to her Instagram page, we can see that recently, around a month before the post from the Weaver actor, she also posted a selfie in motion capture. This could just be a massive coincidence, and she's motion capturing for something entirely different that isn't related at all to Call of Duty, but it's the only lead that the gaming community have right now on who this could be. So Weaver is almost a guarantee for Black Ops 6 Zombies, even if this person on the left isn't Weaver. So if it's not Weaver and it's not Scarlet Rhodes, then who could it be? And the answer is it could literally be any new operator that is being introduced in Black Ops 6. Because with the release of this gameplay, there's been a big discussion on if we're going to see a set crew in this game, as we've seen back in Classic Zombies, which every one of us wants to see, or if this is going to have the same operator system that we saw in Cold War, where you can play as any character. And I think the reality is it's going to be the operator system again. I think regardless if we want it or not, the operator bundles and skins that are sold in the Call of Duty store just make so much money. But those bundles have to be supported in all modes of the game, which we did see for Cold War, Vanguard, Modern Warfare 3. As much as I want to see a set crew that have their own conversations between each other and have their own quotes, just like we had with our beloved characters, just don't see that happening anymore. It's a reality that we sadly just have to accept. But I think if we continue to let Activision and Treyarch know that we don't want that and we want a set crew instead, then hopefully there could be some sort of alternative in the future. And a lot of suggestions I've seen is the Call of Duty World War II system, where they had a set crew of characters that you could play as, but you could choose who you wanted to play as, and you didn't have to play as them. You could play as completely other characters as well. You'd have the option that would give you the lore and the storyline from the character quotes if you wanted it, but then you could play it as anyone else as well. In the case of Black Ops 6 Zombies, if they have that system, then instead the story could be told through character quotes that is played either out loud through speakers, for example, like what we saw on Der Eisendrache, where if you didn't play as Richtofen, you heard Richtofen having a conversation with Dr. Groff throughout rounds through speakers in the map. And based on the storyline that we got, where all of the Requiem characters are in solitary confinement in an area called Black Site 13, they're in indefinite imprisonment. We know, thanks to Modern Warfare Zombies, that they obviously end up breaking out of imprisonment. And I think the Terminus Island Zombies map is going to be centered solely around that storyline. So because of that, we are likely to see Weaver return, as we've already mentioned, but there is also the chance that we will see the other Requiem members based on the fact that Weaver is likely to be in Zombies, which means we'll likely see all the other Requiem members, such as Dr. Gray, who we saw in the Season 3 Reloaded cutscene for Modern Warfare Zombies as a slightly older version from what we've seen in Cold War, which proves that she exists, she's still alive, she obviously escaped from Black Site 13. So it's likely that we will see her, as well as Major Carver, Dr. Strauss, and maybe even Raptor 1. An absolute definite character confirmed for Black Ops 6 Zombies is none other than Dr. Edward Richtofen, who in this universe is now known as Eddie, or the Director. And we know it's very likely he'll return because on the box art for Black Ops 6, we have a reference to Project Janus, which is a top secret project that Eddie has been enacting in the background throughout the entirety of Black Ops Cold War Zombies, playing both Requiem and Omega Group to do his bidding. Above anything else, he is solely dedicated to the completion of Project Janus. We only got a face reveal from him at the end of Cold War, but what you might not realize is throughout the later seasons of the Cold War Zombies intel, there were secret radios between him and Samantha where he was almost torturing her, and his voice was purposely manipulated so it was very difficult to even hear his true voice and to work out the voice actor. But it was none other than Nolan North, the original voice actor for Edward Richtofen. But in this universe, the Director does not have a German accent. He has an American accent. I can't wait to hear a proper voice reveal for Eddie Richtofen in Black Ops 6. But let me know, if it's not the iconic German voice, would that throw you off? Because there's nothing I want more in life than to have new Edward Richtofen quotes. I really miss that guy. One other major character that is incredibly likely to return is Ravenov. We saw him throughout Black Ops Cold War, and we see him nearly 30 years later in Modern Warfare 3 Zombies. We only learn a very vague details on what happened after Cold War Zombies that led up to Modern Warfare Zombies, but we know he became a ghost in a shell, with the new Russian government having no record of him existing. And again, we still don't know the specifics on what he got up to after 1985. He stated in a Deadbolt audio log that he has been many things since he left Spetsnaz: an informant, a traitor, a Requiem operator, but then afterwards he was a mob enforcer, an instrument of revenge, and a slayer of monsters. Now, the specific detail of him being a mob enforcer is something which is going to be relevant in Black Ops 6 Zombies. And if you aren't aware, a mob enforcer is a member of a group, especially of a criminal gang, who performs contract killings or is charged with keeping dissident members obedient. To me, it sounds like after the events of Cold War Zombies, he was so furious at what happened to Requiem, he tried to take revenge, which would directly mean that he tried to take revenge on Eddie Richtofen. Now, again, we have no idea what happened between the end of Cold War and Modern Warfare Zombies, but we know at some point, he was reunited with the members of Requiem, and together they plotted to try and rescue Samantha Maxis from the Dark Ether. But unfortunately, they failed. Now, I don't know if this happened as a cause of trying to get Samantha out, but for some strange reason, the DNA of every Requiem member and Ravenov was acquired without their consent, and assuming Eddie fused the DNA of Ravenov with Maxis's DNA to conceive a child via surrogacy, where Dr. Gray was acting as the surrogate mother. This was something we recently learned in Modern Warfare Zombies Season 3, and it was quite a big revelation, as it revealed that Ravenov and Samantha Maxis were the parents of Ava Jansen. The final recorded moments of Requiem Still Alive is in 1996, where Gray records a video message that Ava will one day see, explaining that her and the rest of Requiem are slowly dying and no longer capable of looking after her. You might not realize it, but Ravenov is easily one of the most important characters in this story moving forward, because he connects what we know from the past with what happens in the future. And we even have a secret radio conversation between Private Miller and Ravenov where she describes the tragic events that happened at Liberty Falls, a small town in West Virginia, when she was just a child, which is 100% a reference to the West Virginia zombies map that has been teased to us since the end of Black Ops Cold War. And the events on this map are directly controlled by Eddie Richtofen. That was quite a lot to go over, but I really hope you found this useful. You learned something you didn't know already about some of the characters you've seen, piecing together some story plots that you might not have realized. If you enjoyed it, please let me know by clicking that thumbs up button. It's absolutely free and a great way to let YouTube know you enjoyed the video and you want to see more videos like this. If you're itching for even more Black Ops 6 Zombies videos, then check this one on your screen right now.